5, right? This is my boy Brian. He's been coming to every one, right?
I think I missed one of them.
You missed one.
Yeah.
Shame on him. But he's here now, so that's
Very
all that
true,
matters.
very true.
But yeah, so he's at the event. He pulled up. He's on fire. It's the first of the year, and he has already got a deal that he's been kind of cultivating and working. And it's like right there at the finish line. Now we're trying to strategize and go over some negotiation techniques and figure out the best route to win this deal
And close it.
And close it. And not only that, there's another competing offer, which is also a creative offer, and we're about to kind of figure out what type of ninja tricks we can do to get over this one and win this. Okay, so just to catch everybody up to speed real quick, this is a property that Brian got from, generated the lead from a realtor. You went into the open house, right?
So yeah, this realtor had an open house, so I showed up to the open house. I started, talking to her about what creative finance is. So she kind of understood it. So then I started digging some more, and I asked her, hey, do you have any other properties that you have available? She started explaining to me that this lady that she knows personally is going through a foreclosure. So
that wasn't the property that you walked in on.
That's not the property that I walked in.
That's so dope. So actually, if you think about that, break that down, that's almost a form of prospecting within itself.
Very much so.
Stop by an open house, check out who's in there, meet the realtor or whatever, because they potentially have other listings, and in the future they can potentially get a listing or an opportunity. So you in this case, you walked in the open house.
Yeah.
You met with her, you talked to her, probably said all these fake nice things about the house or whatever, but the deal didn't work for that particular house, right? So what he did was he actually asked her, does she have any other properties, right, that this could possibly work on? And that's how we got to this lead.
She actually ended up giving me 5 other properties, but this one is the one that I wanted to jump on specifically because she's like, hey, somebody else sent an offer, so
dope.
Let's get it going.
All right, so boom. Now let's get into some type of negotiation type. And this is the stuff that we're going to be doing in the Closers Academy, right? That's launching this week. We're doing a virtual open house tomorrow. And this is this type of stuff we'll be going over, like deals, how to negotiate, how to monetize. Like if you consider yourself a connector, this is good for you too, because it'll teach you how to actually monetize those connections, right? Because everything in life is a negotiation.
Very much so.
And also how to close.
I think also a big question that I had was, whenever you are working with a realtor, what's like the first step that you take to working with that realtor? So for example, this letter of intent is not something that I knew about a couple months ago, but then I started, getting more seasoned into it. And I'm like, all right, letter of intent is when you intend to buy a property. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. So what are the steps when you're trying to purchase a property subject to from a realtor?
Right. So letter of intent comes from the commercial world, right?
Okay.
Because those contracts are typically drafted up by attorneys, right? That's big boy game, right? So instead of getting into all the legal aspects of it, makes it easier just to throw a letter of intent out there. Once you sign, the seller signs off on a letter of intent, you can transpose the terms onto an actual agreement with an attorney. Over in the real estate or residential real estate world, it doesn't really work like that. These guys doing letter of intents, it's unnecessary. I don't do letter of intents, right?
Okay.
My letter of intent will be a fucking text message, right? Because that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
But no harm, no foul. There's nothing wrong with it. And this is actually a cute little letter of intent that he wrote. There's some cool little things he put in there that can get in front of objections. So I'm not knocking it. It's just, unnecessary work. But actually, it's a good idea if you want to try to streamline the process for a big operation.
That's why I asked, because I don't know if working with a realtor, you would have to do a letter of intent before you can send over a purchase and sale agreement?
You don't have to. You don't have to do anything.
Now,
Shit.
Another question, excuse me, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you don't have to do anything, really, because real estate is so simple. Everybody overcomplicates it, especially when they're trying to make money.
Yep.
Right? Title companies and not. You don't even really need title companies. You can close these things on a napkin if you wanted to. Right? And we've actually bought a house. I say on a napkin for the joking purposes, but it was on a piece of paper. Literally just writing the numbers and signing it on a piece of paper, and we closed that shit outside the title.
I studied business, and that's a contractual binding agreement.
1000%.
That's literally it.
Yeah. So, all right. So back at it. So what were you going to ask? You were going to ask one more question?
Yes, what I wanted to ask was, whenever you are working with a realtor, again, on a property that is subject to, do you use your own contract? Do you use their contract? Because I wouldn't mind sending this over to her, and if she agrees with it, it's like,
great question.
That's a question that I had for a long time.
Great question. It depends, right? Because if they don't understand your message, right, or if they get weirded out by your contract, whose fault is that? It's ours, right?
Yeah.
So it depends. How easy do you want to make it for them to get over the hurdle of one, like it being a creative transaction, right? And then two, now you got to look at they got to look at the contract and kind of decipher what the hell all this fancy shit means, because most off-market contracts are made slightly in favor of the actual buyer, right? A lot of the shit in the contracts wouldn't even hold up in court.
Yeah.
All right, but a lot of shit in the contracts are made to deter people from even getting to that point.
Yeah.
Right. So it depends on, you got to play mental chess. You got to be 10 steps ahead. So you got to kind of predict and judge like how this person's going to take it, right?
Yep.
What kind of vibe you got off them when you're talking to
Definitely.
them. And that determines like how you want to, or
It's
which
funny.
one you want.
It's funny you say that because today I was, I'm setting up the purchase and sale agreement so that I can send to her, and I was actually taking some stuff out because, like you said,
Yeah.
it favors the buyer and it just would scare her away.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do any of that, even though we had that conversation in person, and there is that trust factor and like us being quote unquote friends and just spending literally the whole open house. I was there from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's how much we connected.
Like a creeper.
And
sitting there like a creeper.
yeah, literally. No, I told her,
worked,
yo,
it
you want me to
worked.
bounce? She's like, nah, bro, we're
Nobody
making
else
money.
coming
What
to
do you
that,
mean?
that shit, yeah, whatever.
I mean, dude, look at all the numbers that I got from you. I asked her every single question
And
that
she
I
had
needed
5,
to.
That's
I'm
5
saying
deals, yeah.
that's what we're gonna go over today. This is just one of the 5 that I wanted to ask you about. So it's
Dope.
it's about who you know, and I already told her anything else that comes up off market, let me know. I actually have a land deal that you might be interested in that you're probably
Okay, we'll check it out.
We'll talk about that later.
After. So for this one, so here's the trick though, right? So getting into like negotiation tactics and things like that, you got to consider where you're at, right? We can't be happy with like, we got to focus on the actual items that matter, which are like terms and things like that, and also where you're at in the whole process. Because right now, there's a bunch of nice words that were said, a bunch of properties passed over. Even with this letter of intent that the other competing offer sent, it's not really an offer yet. It's just what the transaction. It's just the terms, the additional terms of a transaction.
It's basically
right?
like what I did on the open house, just explaining what
exactly how it
is.
would look, which is good. Nothing wrong with it. But there's no numbers here, so why would you ever compete with this? Not saying you are, but there's no reason to compete with this, right? Because then she's got you negotiating with yourself.
Yeah.
Right. We need to find out what the seller needs, right? What the seller needs and what the seller wants, right? So one of the first questions, once we open them up to the idea, is how much would your seller need up front to make this work?
Well, they don't need any payment. They just want to get rid of the house and not have any foreclosure on their name, and that's why I was like, all right, cool, we can do that.
Boom. So no money to the seller. We already know, right off rip. Boom. Item 1 already taken care of, right? So now this one has arrears, right?
Yes.
All right.
You
So
got
we're talking
23K. I believe it's right here.
23K in arrears. Got
Should
it.
be the next photo.
All right. Yep. 23K in arrears. So now, obviously, to be the knight in shining armor, we have to pay that, or the buyer would have to pay that, or agree to pay that. So that's one part of the entry fee.
Yep.
That what it's going to cost to get into it. Now, what's the seller? What do you think the agent's going to want for this thing?
Now, she told me that she was making 15K commission off of this, and I told her, hey, if I can bring you a buyer, you're willing to split that? She said, sure. Now, again, if we can get this under contract, then me and her can just go into it as a JV. But
that's dope.
She said that her commission was priced into the sale price, but that didn't make sense to me because it's no sale. It's just taking over the mortgage.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly where she fit her 15K in there, but she said she was making 15K from the deal. I noted it.
Yeah. Okay, so perfect. See, right? So he's not happy with just the words she's saying. He's actually like thinking what those words actually mean, because where the fuck is this 15K coming from, right? She doesn't have shit. This is the only offer that she has?
No, she's actually gotten a couple cash offers, but they're not enough to cover the remaining mortgage.
Those are
So
out.
she was like,
but I
no,
mean, right now on the table, this is the only other.
That's the only other person that's competing.
So what I would do in this scenario is I would keep that in mind with the 15K. I like how you said it, right? Because a lot of times people with these with the commissions and all that stuff, they come in like super save-a-ho and they want to say, oh, we'll pay all commissions, right? And we're not fucking paying all commissions. That makes no sense. And if you want to get paid, right? So yeah, we'll pay commission, right? But we're not saying how much that is, because we can't. What's the saying? We can't split a pie until it's baked, right? We got to bake that shit. We got to figure out how the deal's a deal. And first of all, if there's no buyer for this at the end of the day, if we're not the buyer or if we can't wholesale to somebody, there's no fucking money getting split up, right? So she wants 15K. That's cool, but I like what Brian did. He went in there with some JV terminology without even saying any of that. He said, would you be okay with splitting this? You told her if you can bring a buyer?
If I can bring them a buyer.
Boom. Now she knows. Are you licensed? He's not even fucking licensed, right? So that ain't stopping him. That ain't stopping her from getting the deal done, right? there's all these rules on what you can and can't do from the realtor mafia out there, but it's not stopping him from going forward and making that deal happen, right? People are doing it every day. It's just how you word these things, right? So now she understands she might be breaking bread with him on that 15K, which she would do that normally if she had a deal on the market, a sellable deal at that, which she doesn't, right? Because it's not selling.
Correct.
So that's perfect how you set that up. There's other ways to set it up, but that was really good. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And now she understands she's not getting all of that 15.
Correct.
So now what can happen here, let's say, I'm just assuming, we'll just, for the sake of the video, not being too crazy long, we'll say that, and again, all this stuff is like gonna be covered in the Closers Academy. So when we do the open house, if you're scared to put your money down and pay and invest in yourself, come to the open house and see what it's all about. Bring your deals, and we can chop it up on the deals just like we're doing it with this one.
Amen.
Right? So we'll leave it there, assuming everything is good. First of all, the cash flow on this thing is dope. I already took a peek at it, but assuming all that stuff is good, cash flow is good, terms work and all that, the other parts of the entry fee would be like closing costs, right? We're not going to factor any repairs because there's none needed on the property. So right now we're at 23K. Let's just call it 20K. And then instead of the 15 for commission, let's just say 10, right? So that would be 30K, right? For an entry fee plus closing costs, right? The way he set it up with the agent is that 10K would be split. So he can make 5K on this deal, just putting it together, right? Easy money, right? Yeah. So as opposed to promising her the world, she gets her whole commission, this 10K, and then now he has to stack another 5 or 10K on top of it for what he wants. And if the cash flow supports that, you know, for the return on the end buyer, then hey, by all means, go for it. But a lot easier to sell a more affordable deal, right?
Absolutely.
So that's good, bro. Yeah, I mean,
for sure. I mean, I'm learning from the best, man. Look at the resources that I have around me.
I paid him to say that.
Take a look around. No, look at the resources. I couldn't do it without the resources, man.
Hell yeah.
You guys are elite, man. You guys are really elite.
Appreciate it.
I'm so happy.
So boom, that's all you guys get for now for a sneak peek. But if you want more, hit us up or slide in DMs. You know, put your info there. We'll get you the link to sign up, and we'll get you the link for the virtual open house, which will be tomorrow at 8 p.m.
When does Closing Academy officially open?
That'll be the official start date. But after that, the first Zoom after that is gonna run this week, probably Friday.
Okay.
Depending on how things go. But most likely Friday, and then we'll kick it off for the beginning of next week.
You guys have it. Change your life right here. Just the man.